On this episode, we're handling fan prompts. We're talking about vampires, we're talking about baking and murder mysteries, and we're talking about holy texts read by little animals.
And we discuss flying cars, we meet Donovan, the guy with the sword, and we even have a little bit of Schnibby. Who's Schnibby, you ask? Well,
we'll find out on this episode of Your Rivers Are Wrong. Stay tuned. Good morning, or evening, or afternoon, whenever you may be. Welcome back to the Your Rivers Are Wrong podcast. I'm one of your hosts. My name is Dante.
And I am the other host. My name is Meredith.
And we're here, as we are every week, to talk about the wonderful whimsies of world building, the arts and aesthetics of setting up a setting, and telling stories born from it.
Beautifully said. Well spoken.
Thank you. We're back with another fan prompts episode. Tried and true classic on this podcast. We've gathered a bunch of prompts from you guys. We've pulled them from the YouTube comments. I try to ask every time. I'm like, hey, we're doing it again. Do you guys have any more prompts? And every time
they have more prompts. It's beautiful.
Yeah, that I could have never imagined. And it's always so wonderful. Before we get into that, any updates? Any updates on what's going on? Any updates from the week as we step into the 5th episode of this season?
Mm-hmm. From me, nothing too crazy, I think. Had a little bit of a late night yesterday, so I'm a little bit scrambled today. But as it goes, sometimes.
Yeah, we could preface it. Yeah, we could be totally honest with the listeners. We both woke up late.
They know us by now. Yeah.
We have a start time. I woke up first, a little bit after, and then
like half an hour later, I'm like, oh my God, I woke up. What's happening? Are we still doing it? Yes. Okay, let's go and start.
There have been like mornings where recording, and I just kind of wake up, I freeze, I look at the clock, and I'm like,
okay.
Oh, I still have 20 minutes, you know?
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. That has happened before for sure. Yes. Mm-hmm. So that's a bit the Brando energy tonight. And I'm having a little bit of a cold, which is not great, which you might hear a little bit. I'm not too sniffy, as you sometimes have, but it's just very stuck in my brain. So we'll see.
In your brain?
Yeah, well, you know what I mean, right? Like I said it in a weird way. I realize now. But when it's just so like your areas are super stuck, and then you just get a headache from how stuck your brain feels. No?
Yeah.
You're looking at me very weird.
I get like...
Is that not what you have?
When your brain gets a little foggy because you're like super sick and it's like, hey, I'm a little bit off kilter today. You know, that kind of energy. Yeah.
Exactly. You got it. Yeah. Totally. So I hope that ends soon. But there's good stuff in the weekend. Like there's 2 shows I'm gonna see this weekend. One of my friends. It's like a sort of like a play, I think. I forgot if it had music. Maybe it has music and I just forgot. Anyway, well, so that's going to be fun. And then there's like a cappella concert that I'm going to see with my mom in my hometown, which is very exciting.
Very cool.
So good stuff. How about your end?
You know what I did this week? I caught up on a lot of things I've been meaning to watch. It's like, hey, I have to rejoin cultural relevance in terms of what I'm talking about.
Nice. You felt left out. Felt the FOMO.
I did. Right. You know, the first thing I started watching, I haven't gotten too far, but I've watched the first 2 episodes of Scavenger's Reign, which has been recommended to me more than a couple times.
I love that show.
Dude, the first episode... The world building, the whole setup with like the nature and the fourth.
It's upsetting how great it is.
Every second I'm just like, oh, that's novel. Ooh,
oh my God.
That's cool.
Yes, it's the absolute treat for world builders, I think. It's beautiful.
My absolute favorite is like when there's birds flying and they just meld into like the tower structures. They just kind of land on a tree and then combine into it.
I know what you mean. Yes.
I'm just like, okay, that's cool. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. My favorite thing about it is that it's absolutely the most, I think, visually narrative thing I've watched in a long time. Of course, the music is great and the dialogue is also great, but the show is super dependent on how visually plot heavy it is, if that makes sense. I don't know if it's not really the right words, but like you only need the visuals to be totally in awe. Right. And I think that's so nice because very often it's either that a show depends on if the writing is good or if, the actors are doing their job. But here it's literally being amazed for 10 minutes by just visual stuff happening and nothing else. And it's beautiful because I love visual stuff.
It's one of those things where I was just so impressed and so inspired. Like I had to recognize, hey, this person who makes this show, they're thinking so beyond my design space. It's like
Oh,
my
right.
little bubble
Yeah.
of like what I believe to
That's
be,
very cool.
you know, the who's who of world building. This person is just on another, like literally on another planet.
Different planet, yeah.
In
Yep.
terms of like their design philosophies and their world building. And I just loved it. I was just like, oh, that's so cool. You got to work with that somehow. You know,
Yeah.
and it's one of those things is like, why wouldn't this make sense? Right. Every time they introduce something new about this planet, I'm like, yeah, why wouldn't that exist? When it's like, oh, the weird sea nostril monsters are collecting their young from the sands.
Yeah.
Just keep safe from the storm with their super long nostrils. And then they hover in the water to understand. I'm just like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
You know, why wouldn't that be a natural thing here? And just that whole process of visually showing you what you must accept as standard is
Yes.
always so cool with my
And
brain.
I think it's just all about like feeling strange or, you know, being a foreigner in someone else's home, you know. It's very rare, I think, that something is completely unknown in terms of visual. Like we know the sci-fi look, we know the fantasy look, but it's kind of neither both.
Yeah.
And it's very nice because of it. I think someone in the YouTube comments called it like speculative something biology or something, or astrobiology or something. And I was like, holy hell, that's a great
biology.
term. Yeah, because it feels very much like that. Anyway, yeah, it's a great show. Everyone should watch it.
Scavenger's Reign. It was previously just on HBO Max, but now it's on Netflix. So if you have either of those,
I didn't know
check
that.
it out.
That's great.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Wow, good for them.
Also, I feel like on the other side of the spectrum, I'll talk about this only so long. I started watching Jujutsu Kaisen. And if you're in the anime scene, you know that Jujutsu Kaisen has been the cool anime for like the last 1-2 years.
Okay. I'm super not in the loop, but I believe you.
It's about mages who use curses to fight each other in a very typical shonen aspect. And you know,
sure,
watching it, visually impressive. Characters, pretty funny. But in my head, I'm like,
great so far.
If I didn't watch Naruto 20 years ago, I probably would really enjoy this.
Like, is it too similar, or what do you mean?
It's too similar. It's the same genre. Okay. I feel like I've seen a lot of the things before, and I'm like, if I wasn't so entrenched in shonen for the past 2 decades, this would be everything to me. Like I would love what's going on here. But because I've
already had another one,
I've watched so many things in that genre. It's like quite literally, it's like watching another Dungeons and Dragons podcast where they start in a tavern, and I'm like,
yeah,
it's cool. I get it.
You're just too aware of the trope now, maybe.
Exactly. I think that's it. I'm too aware of the tropes.
It happens sometimes, yeah.
Like I know the twists and turns. I know when to be impressed and when they're going to go into filler. And I'm like, oh, I've
yeah.
It really felt like deja vu. Like I feel like I've watched this before. You know,
you're too meta about it already. Yeah, nah, it's a shame, but it happens sometimes where you just watch the new thing first, and then the classic of the genre it's not really cool anymore.
For me, it's not really breaking any boundaries. I'm watching it just to like be able to understand like why my friends like it. It's
nice though. It's part of the canon, you know, like it's good to talk about it, I guess, but yeah.
Yeah, if you're a fan of Jujutsu Kaisen, truly nothing against you. I think I might just be older.
Wow. That's very passive aggressive, but okay.
No. I get why people like it, but in my heart, that part that would enjoy that genre has already been filled. I've already got things. It's plenty populated, you know?
Yes, sure. That makes sense.
Okay, with that out of the way, let's get into the fan prompts episode again. In a normal episode, we would have one topic and one prompt. In this episode, we have 4 prompts. We're just going to go prompts rapid fire, sorting ourselves through a number of world building scenarios provided by all of you, which is going to be really fun. So for this episode, I'm going to toss a prompt to you.
Ooh. Let's go.
This is one that I just thought was pretty funny. So I feel like this is a great place to
Those are usually good ones, yeah.
begin.
Okay.
This prompt is from @erodriguez927, aka if I go to his page, his name is Spoon with 4 O's.
Yeah.
BK.
Represent.
Spoon BK. His prompt is adventures. Recruit monsters to do their dungeon delving for them. The monsters form a union.
Wait, that's pretty good. Wow, this is so, well, not corporate, but like it's very practical, right?
Yeah, it's
very
a
organized.
two-parter.
It's a very organized prompt. Yeah. Okay,
Yeah.
wait, can you read it to me one more time?
Of course. Adventurers recruit monsters to do their dungeon delving for them. The monsters form a union.
Ooh, okay.
It's a bit of a 2-parter.
Yeah, there's a structure to this. Okay, I think I know where I want to go with this. Let me see how do I enter the space. Okay. That's a good one. It feels like a very normal one somehow, but still it's very great. Have you always wanted to be the pioneer of the rocky hillside we live on? Have you the powers, the talents, the strengths to to complement our very daring escapades into the mines? Is this your calling? Then we need you, is what is sort of being screamed in the market square by a troop of very cool, very usual looking adventurers. Like there's one with a sword, one with a bow and arrow, one is hot, etc.
Only one?
Yeah, like one of them is unnecessarily hot.
Oh, specifically, like that's their.
Yeah, it's kind of their character
talent.
trait. Yeah.
Got it.
Very long, flowy, like silky hair.
Got it.
Tight frame. Yeah. You know the drill.
Yeah.
And the one with a sword is holding up his sword a la Shira and screaming at everyone passing by. This is, of course, the most important part of the town. And as you can see, because they're standing on little boxes and little potato boxes or something, and around them by now a small but interested gathering of folk from all shapes. That's not a word.
All shapes.
From all shapes and sizes. There we go. Little monsters, big monsters that maybe are two people. I'm not sure. Is it like two kids in a trench coat or is it a monster? Not sure. It doesn't really matter. But they're all looking eager at them with like glassy eyes, and some are like bright green and some are like slithering and maybe don't have a mouth, but it doesn't really matter. And they're like, count me in. This sounds so great. I feel like this is what I've been building towards. There's nothing going on in this in this boring mine town unless people bring it to us, and we're all ready for work. and let's say like
the monsters yearn for a 9-to-5.
Yeah, this poor monster town is not doing so great. They're yearning for a 9-to-5. And Mr. Give me like a name for the sword guy. What's the sword guy's name?
The sword guy is
the most regular
Donovan.
Donovan, the sword guy. Yeah,
Donovan, the sword guy.
Guy's literally part of his name as well. It's kind of like how people know him. Yeah. Donovan, the sword guy, puts his sword right into the crowd without accidents and points towards a small little monster who has like at least 5 eyes that are all looking at Donovan, the sword guy, with awe and wonder of this strange, beautiful man with his beautiful troop of snobby, arrogant adventurers people. And it's like, can I be a dungeon delver? Donovan, can I be a dungeon delver too? And Donovan says, yes, you can. This is what we need, people, this energy. And as the meeting goes on, little Schnibby the monster is totally the first one to sign up. Yeah, I'm so great with names today. Because they're random energy in my body.
Schnibby's a winner, I gotta say.
Schnibby is a winner. He has 5 eyes. Like that's usually.
I don't need to know anything else. I'm rooting for him.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Schnibby is the first one to sign up, of course. And only a few days pass, and honestly, the adventurers are very organized. They got their shit together. They got the contracts ready. They're ready to delve. They haven't had to recruit in a while, to be honest. So it is a little bit stretching the old charismatic muscles again. And also, they're maybe just a little bit lazy because after you find like so many treasures in like castles and on like ruins, and dungeon delving is a lot of work and energy, So
that's true.
So it's just easier if someone else does it for you. Yeah. And then you can just like take maybe like 90% of whatever they're bringing back and then pay them and say, wow, you did so great. And then just move on to the next thing. They're upping their craft, I guess. Is that how capitalism works? I don't know. So only a few days later, the most excited ones, the ones ready for the drill, including Schnibby, obviously.
Of course.
Enter the dungeon for the first time. It is a strange world. It's a dark world. There's like maybe water dripping off the walls. There's like strange creatures scuttering away, and Schnibby's like, wow, are there more monsters here? And they're like, nah, they're like other kinds of, no, it's different, and then they just move on. Yeah, because obviously there's a hierarchy here. Yeah. I don't know where that sidetrack is going, but I'm leaving it now. We're back at the main track.
That was not the prompt. We're moving on.
Unrelevant. Schnibby is leading the charge. His 5 eyes are glowing bright in dark. There's so many caves to go through, and Schnibby, after a few hours, is getting a little bit tired and looks around and is like, Mr. Donovan, Mr. Donovan, Mr. Donovan, should we still move further? And Donovan is like, it's very strange because his voice comes from like way further back than Schnibby expected, but Schnibby and his pals, of course, that are easily unspecified for now. And Donovan's like, yeah, just keep going. You're doing great. I'll just check in with you in a few. Okay, yeah, I'll be right there, like right there. And Schnibby's like, okay, Mr. Donovan, okay. And he just moves forward eagerly, excitedly, even though he is a little bit hungry and his eyes starting to burn a little bit. But it doesn't matter because this is his dream. This is what he was made for. This is where he's needed. And Schnibby continues to charge, and a few hours pass, and then he's like, well, ow, my feet hurt by now. I mean, I can't really see anymore. Do we have like a torch or like a light? And Schnibby looks around, and Donovan's nowhere to be seen, and all the other like the very hot other adventurers have been forgotten about long ago. And the other monster with a notoriously large neck, which is a choice for a dungeon delving team, I guess. But he's like, wow, I don't know if I want to continue anymore. Like, it's really dark by now, and I thought we would find like lots of treasure. And then Schnibby's like, yeah, but I think we'll get to it eventually. They asked us for a reason,
Aww.
And it's getting a little bit worrisome. So the guy with the long neck is at some point like, yeah, I don't know. Maybe I want to go on, but like, I'm really tired. Anyway, I don't know how this conversation ends, but after a while, Schnibby and Mr. Stretchman and the others are starting to reconsider a little bit. They're like, okay, let's just take a break and let's just see. Maybe I have like this one like protein bar left that we'll just share, I guess. And Schnibby is kind of heartbroken a little bit. This poor little man. He was so excited, and Donovan was like pointing his sword at him, and it felt all very exciting and like new. And then by now it's just like a bunch of monsters in a dark cave with maybe a way out if they literally take the whole track back again, and his boss nowhere to be seen. And Schnibby's like, okay, guys, I think that was his voice. I think let's reconsider. I love this job. I love feeling needed and talented, but I can't do it if the people above me are not taking care of me. That's not how that works. I think you need to care of your workers because if we're not doing it, who's delving this dungeon? Who, I say? No one is delving this dungeon. Schnibby says, that's right. I don't know if I can keep up.
So intense.
I came, I delivered. Schnibby's like, that's right. No one is delving this dungeon. So Mr. Donovan, who's maybe not even here right now, but we'll say it again when he gets back. When he gets back, we'll say, Mr. Donovan, we need food to delve this dungeon. We need proper weapons and light instead of my eyeballs to be able to see what's going on. We need a union. And everyone's like, yeah, I love unions. Yeah, let's go. Schnibby's like, I'll humbly accept the position of union leader of dungeon delving monsters extraordinaire.
Oh, he becomes a delegate. Let's go.
Yeah. And yeah, that's totally what's happening. The tall guy is maybe tearing up just a little bit. It's very inspiring. Schnibby has really found his calling. I think even more so than before. And he sort of hoists him up his neck, and Schnibby is leading the charge back to the outside, where they'll definitely confront Mr. Donovan, who's definitely like not run off and in a tavern somewhere. But that's for part 2. The end.
Schnibby's a winner. I love that guy.
Schnibby's a winner. Yeah. He found himself, he found his calling, he found his friends.
It was so heartbreaking when you were like, they keep traveling and his eyes are starting to hurt. I'm like, oh,
no, not his eyes. He has 5 of them. Yeah.
Oh,
that's it. That's all I got.
That was great. Yeah. I didn't need you to go into like breaking down the contract and all that stuff that usually follows making a union. The energy was just right.
I just needed the passion of this prompt, not the actual bureaucracy of it.
Yeah, sounds good to me. Killer. Love it. Great start.
Okay, that means it's my turn, huh? Because we switched it up. Of course. Exciting. Mm-hmm. Okay, second prompt of today. Are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I also picked this one because I found it quite funny. And I feel like we haven't done one in this genre in a little while, so I'm just ready for a little bit of this flavor again.
Sure.
This is by Shijin8947. Thank you for your prompt. And the prompt goes as follows. An Eladrin vampire, doubling as a chef and caterer, is blamed for dispatching a royal family. Oh, no.
What a deep cut.
Yeah.
Let's start from the top. Let's
let's
I did read this and I had to process. Okay. First and foremost, Eladrin. Eladrin is a type of elf found in Dungeons and Dragons.
Yes.
Typically, they're defined by their long lives, as well as their appearance or visage changing every season. So, winter, spring, summer, fall, there are different types of Eladrin. I don't know if they personally change or like they're just assigned a season and they just rock with it for the rest of their life. So, that's one thing.
I played one, but I forgot.
Then there is a vampire. So we know what vampires are. Live by night, suck blood, turn to bats, long life, undead. So Eldrin Vampire is just an aesthetic as is. That is probably just straight up defined by their longevity. You know, just how long they live.
For all the teen book talkers out there, look this up. It's great. It's your vibe.
Elf vampire. They did not need to live longer, but they certainly will.
Yep.
Then next part of the prompt is there a chef and caterer? Doubling as a chef and caterer.
Yes.
So I feel like with this, we literally talked about this in an episode this season about immortality, about the idea that
yeah, I guess it does call back a little bit.
When you live for such a long time, there are certain things that you have to do to still integrate yourself in society. And one of those things is to kind of reinvent yourself over the years so that you can fit into different communities, so that you can work places, have an income. And it seems like chef and caterer is probably just one of those jobs they had to pick up because they needed a new change of scenery. And this was a place that was offering it, didn't ask too many questions. And over their long lifespan, they have learned how to cook.
Yeah, for sure.
Last part of this is blamed for dispatching a royal family. Okay.
So this is like a high-end chef position, I guess.
Yeah.
Well, if you want to connect them, of course. Can be like totally random and unnecessary, but yeah.
So I'm seeing the setup here. I'm going to refer to all the recent long-lived anime type stories we've had recently. Frieren and Danjimeshi come to mind right now. Let's set the scene. This is how I feel like this is probably the most bog standard way to set up the scenario.
By all means, go ahead.
Like by the fiction, by the rules of world building, this is exactly how it would go down. The Eladrin vampire. I need a name. So let's give me a letter and we'll run from there.
Ooh. Let's say W.
W.
Yeah.
This probably wasn't his first name, but nowadays he goes by Wilfred. Wilfred is the Eladrin vampire, and we'll refer to him as such. Wilfred, I think what I'm going to do with this is how I would like pitch it. This is how we would pitch it to someone who wants to create a property on this premise. Wilfred is visited by a stranger. He's been working in this local village for the better part of 30, 40 years. He's really established himself as an essential member of the community. People think that he is he's simply a normal guy. Honestly, everyone knows elves live for a long time, and it's not strange for him to be kind of unchanging over the years. He's run this very successful pastry shop by night. He's only open after hours. He serves a very unique niche in his community for all the people who are up late working on something and they just need a snack, do you have insomnia cookies in Holland? Is that a thing that you have there?
I instantly love this concept, but I've never really heard of it. So
I've never ordered from them, but my friends love insomnia cookies.
Is it like a company? Is it like an actual thing? Or is it more the way you call cookies if you're eating them by midnight?
It's like a company that specifically is for ordering snacks at night. And
That's so great. I need this in my life.
Yeah. So that's a thing on our side of the ocean.
I love it. No, it's great.
So it's very much like bakes by night is kind of just the tagline.
Makes sense, yeah.
And Wilfred has been working here for a very long time. He's actually got himself nice and settled. This is a good distance away from any major cities. A stranger arrives at his doorstep and simply says to him during his working hours, hey, the kingdom of Verdemir, just a few hundred miles away. That's fairly distant, but also not too far away. A few hundred miles away has been searching for a new chef that has recently vacated his position. We have heard of your goods for many years now. And as one of the messengers, as one of the assistants of the royal family, we are looking for a replacement. And you, in your many years of experience, seem to be well suited for the task. This is a great privilege. And if there's anything you need from us to convince you to work for the royal family, by all means, we are willing to accommodate. Wilfred takes a moment to really process this. He's a few hundred years old, and he truly is in need of very little. But interested in possibly a new change of pace, he says, okay, I will work for the royal family. All I need from you is some sort of payment that makes its way back to this village that I can continue supporting it in my absence. A show of character here.
Very nice, very nice.
For the audience to know if he's a good guy or not. We're really going to sell good elf vampire.
I love it. No, it's great.
And the assistant is like, perfect. We'll set that up right away. We will be leaving in a month. There is a royal occasion. One of the daughters is being wed, and we need a good. She's huge. She's very. She's
huge. Yes.
No, that's not what I was gonna say. She's. No. Did I say that? I apologize.
No, it's just went there. I don't know why.
I'm gonna cut that out.
Yes, please. Please do.
She's very keen on pastries. Truly. We're looking for something that she would really enjoy. And the elf vampire is like, absolutely, of course. This is something that I know. Wilfred is shipped off by carriage to the royal family, massive kingdom, very opulent, classic white ivory towers seen in the distance over the hillside. The elegant vampire arrives and realizes his clothes are very old-fashioned. Society has moved forward. This city is very modern. Right. In comparison to where he was living before. And as he gets acquainted with the staff and all the people who work within the castle, people kind of laugh at his old-fashioned tendencies. He's integrated into the castle, and of course, he impresses everyone with his silent but super cool baking style. The staff has a bit of trouble adjusting to his schedule. He tends to work only at night.
Right.
A lot of staff is like, I can't work under these conditions. This is too avant-garde for my taste. Yeah, they need a union. How does he work on lunch if he's only active at 8 p.m. to 8 a.m.? But everyone's like, we make exceptions for this really good baker. To speed this right along, how this story kicks off is that on the night right before the wedding, he asks his cooking team to double check on all of the recipes, all the food prepared for the next day. And the crew, he's grown on them. They've become kind of a more cohesive unit over the course of 3 to 5 episodes. But by episode 6, this is a pitch to a major TV company.
I definitely didn't forget.
By episode 6, he walks into the kitchen and finds one of his near and dear chef's assistants dead on the floor. You can see that she has a spoon in her hand trying one of the cakes prepared for tomorrow. And he only has that evening to find the culprit, to see who is setting him up for a great fall.
Ooh.
Not only his own career, but the fragility of the current nobility. What is going to happen tomorrow is very, very important for the future of the city and for the future of the people. So there's clearly someone trying to, what's that word? I'm waving my hand for people who can't watch this.
Wipe out the family?
Wipe out. That's the word I'm looking for. I'm like, thank you so much. You're so good at this. Just wiping.
The visual was great.
And what started as kind of a cottagecore slice of life type series quickly develops into a murder mystery where a very, very competent elf vampire who was currently only acknowledged as a baker taps into his many past lives to solve this mystery.
That's nice.
And that's what that's the pitch. I feel like that's just bog standard fantasy. Really
amazing.
You need people to be attached to the character and really, really love what they stand for and what they do. And then you rip it all away from them.
Famous world building advice right here. You heard it here
first. There you go. It's the episode 7. You got to watch out for the episode 7. That's when it all goes down.
Yep. Famously so. Amazing. I like that this is slice of life and murder mystery. I didn't realize, but yeah, it's totally has to be if he is a chef. Of course, it's got to be also slice of life. Yeah.
Listen, you don't think there's a fandom for cottagecore vampire? There
it's got to be.
is.
Obviously, there's a fandom for everything plus vampire. I think. Yeah.
So I think this would find its market so quickly, and then people would be roped in by the Stardew Valley energy, and then
for sure
pulled right along by the murder mystery to follow.
Yeah, amazing. I like that he's a good guy as well. That's great.
Yeah.
Vampires don't have to be dark stories. They can be. Like, they're very prone to be. But
listen, the vampire aspect speaks of a tragic past, but we're not going to talk about that until episode 9 or 10.
We're not dipping in if not necessary.
Hint at it.
Yeah. I like it. Thank you.
All right. We're tossing you the next prompt.
Go for it.
I'm going to murder how to say this name. I'm looking at just the tag, and it says @Runston_. So Runston is the one who is pitching this to you. His name is Rune Pawnee. I'm looking at his name. It's got 2 dots over the O, and I have no idea how to pronounce that. So
maybe it's German. I'm curious.
Could be. So Runston's prompt is very, very simple. It says, the cars wanted to be free, so they grew wings and flew away.
That's a very cute one. If you want something, you just have to believe in it, It's great. Okay. The cars wanted to be free, so they grew wings and flew away.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, see, this is nice. I haven't, at least not consciously, seen the Cars movie. But I feel like there's some energy.
Consciously?
I mean, I feel like I've seen this like with my brother in a cinema when I'm like maybe 4 or something. Or 5.
That's true.
And I don't care about cars.
A long time ago.
I am part of the stereotypical girl that doesn't care about cars. So I haven't remembered any of it except that there was like a red one. Yeah, I think that's all I got. Valid. Yeah, and that they had eyes. That's cool. Anyway, why? This is the only thing that made me remember about this. It would be nice if this is like a sort of like a car community, like we had the monster community from before. Like I feel like they need to have something to discuss about. They needed some sort of familiar energy to them, family-based energy to them.
Familial, yeah.
That's a word? Yeah, sure. This is going to be a little bit more of an atmospheric pitch to you.
Sure.
We fade in, clouds swooping by the camera as we slowly focus on one of the perhaps largest cities you've ever seen in your life. This is an unspecified planet or world, doesn't really matter, but this city is towering. There's so many like roads going in all directions, like literally up and down. There's like those large, what do you call those when you have like 4 really big like roads and then they make like a thing in the middle?
Oh, that's like a great question, and I don't know.
I feel like there's a word for it, but I forgot. Like one of those highway crossings,
I'm gonna look it up.
Like one of those epping looking ones. Yeah, please do. It's important.
I think it's just called a Cloverleaf Highway.
Cloverleaf Highway? Okay, sure.
Right, interchange. I'm getting a junction, something like that.
Yeah, okay. A little disappointing, but sure. Anyway, one of those, or at least we see like not even one of those, but like many of those. There's lights flashing by, and if we look closer, if you come a little bit closer to the place, we see it's not just lights, but it's people traveling in train cars, in large buses. There's so many cars as well, like private vehicles. They all look pretty funky. Some are very chunky, some are very small, some are almost like bikes,
Mm-hmm.
They go in all directions, and this is a town of movement, of business, as you can totally feel from just looking at it. And we go a little bit closer, and we can peer into one of the streets that is barely on the floor even. Like there's so many vertical airspace happening here. It gives that sort of sci-fi business all around you and not just on the floor. It's not just a 2D world here. It's mainly because there's just so many cars in the city. Because there's so many up and downs, there's like buildings not just on the streets, but there's buildings flying higher up. There's large skyscrapers. There's things hanging from other buildings. There's zip lines, obviously, because you always need zip lines in cool cities.
Yeah, you can't do without them.
I'm glad we got that in there. I miss my zip lines. That's been so long ago. Everyone should build a zip line city. Okay, sorry. Distracted. Anyway, there's zip lines. There's so much movement and light and business and people and places to visit and things to see here. So cars are kind of the main way to do it. It's the easy way. because there's so many of them, there's a lot of streets. There's a lot of like, I think there's also maybe like one of those like magnetic car, or no, not cars, like magnet trains, you know, those very cool like Japanese or something that are like going super fast and are like built with magnets.
Like magnet rails, yeah.
There's probably like cars like that. So they have like railings everywhere that are kind of unspecified if you don't know what they are, but then suddenly something zoofs by, you know. It's just another car. It's a sort of interesting grayish large looking one, but there's still like maybe 5 people, 6 people in it, and then it's already gone, you know. There's people on the streets as well. There's not a lot of them because all of them are almost always in cars, but every now and then a door goes open, a window is lit by the backlighting that happens in the room, and then you can see that there's people like at tables, people having food. There's like large bars, there's like dance hall kind of structures. There's of course your local zipline guild hall that totally has to be there.
Zipline guild hall.
I think Schnibby would like it.
That's true.
As we slowly zoom in, we don't just feel that we zoom into the city, but we also see our perspective change a little bit. And suddenly we see ourselves go super fast and past these tracks. We see many, many, many vehicles in front of us. We see many vehicles in the back of us. We hear the what's that called? Like there's a cacophony of sound here everywhere, people being angry at it not going fast enough, etc., etc. And suddenly we hear a different kind of sound. It feels very metallic-y almost. We hear a sort of train of thought, let's say, that goes something like this, which is, God, I wish they would just shut up and just let us drive. Wow, damn. And then somewhere further down the line, it's like, oh, damn, I wish people would just not jam so hard because I can go very fast, but I can never reach my speed limit if literally there's all the time people in front of me and vehicles not doing their job. So, you know, we fade into the thought pattern of a different kind of species in the city that we didn't realize were maybe conscious until now.
Amazing.
Surprise, it's not about the people, it's about the cars in this city. We see so many of them, and all of them have places to be, have people to work for, have friends and enemies in this city. And a lot of them sound kind of unhappy and unnerved. And as we fade in on one of them, we see how, because of the intense, as you can imagine, traffic issues that are happening in the city always 24/7, that they really can't do anything. They're just waiting it out. They're trying to find the corners that they can sort of sneak past. That's not with a sneak past.
They're just going to snip on by.
Yeah, I think Schnibby is influencing me. Yeah, they're just snipping by. But it goes very slow, and at some point it becomes very frustrating. And we zoom out a little bit and we see how more of the cars trying to move and can't move, trying to sort of find a different route and failing or getting blocked off by another car. We see at some point even like some people leaving their cars, which is crazy in the city. Like, where do you even go? There's no sidewalks in the city, right? Like people don't do that here.
It doesn't accommodate pedestrians.
No, not at all. It doesn't even do bicycles. It doesn't do anything except cars. So if you're leaving your car, no. You can't have bike lines, and it's not fast
inhuman.
enough, yeah.
Really.
I wouldn't want to live here, as you might imagine, with my Dutch ass dependent on bicycles and not having a car license. But yes, this is how it works. And we see people leaving their cars. We see cars getting like in accidents with each other and getting kind of crumpled up a little bit. There's like so many violence, and particularly this Clover Junction is especially famous for their impossible rerouting, I guess, of cars. Things get heated. You hear the sounds increase, the frustration of both the people and the cars. We're in this cacophony of sound now, wherein everyone is frustrated. Things are going wrong. And at some point, things get especially heated, the climax of the story, and we hear a large sort of screech, a terrifying screech of metal against metal. The people that are on the ground level feel like debris falling from the sky and are confusingly looking up to see what on earth is happening above their heads. And we see how from the jumble, from the impossibility of traffic on top of the structure, we see how one tiny little car, it maybe fits 2 people. It's one of those, like, if you got no money but you need to go places, this is what you buy, right? It's a little bit like jumbly. It has maybe 2 doors and like it can drive, and that's about it. This tiny insignificant car is hovering above the structure, above the junction. And we see, if we peer up at this impossible sight, everyone's looking up by now because this is crazy and not called for, because that's how story works. And if you look close enough, you can even see some sort of impossible flittering just on the side of this car, as if it's like a hummingbird, and it's just hovering. People are used to extravagant, impossible, smart-looking cars here, right? Like there's magnet cars, there's soundless cars, whatever you want. But there's never been a flying car in this city until today. And we see how this tiny little car with one tiny little terrified human being inside is hovering in the air. And suddenly we feel, cinematically, we feel the sound of cars horning and blaring at each other and the roar of the city. We feel it sort of fade away. And we just hear the zzz of a tiny car just hovering in the air and being like, I don't know what he's thinking. I think he has...
We need a union.
We need a union. Yeah, that's what he thinks. Yeah. That's what he thinks. That's what he thinks. I think he's called Schnabby. And Schnabby is like, we need a union. Yeah, that's totally how the story ends.
Okay, I'll rock with it.
Oh, God. I was going for like, oh my God, I'm enlightened now, but this is better. I think I like the union idea more. Yeah. Spread the word, We can all fly if we want.
Exactly.
Fuck
When,
these
like
humans.
a lost art.
They didn't ask for consent.
When you set up a world full of zip lines, I'm like, are the cars on zip lines too? Are there zip lining cars? Is this a setup? If in a world, and then my second thought was, in a world with zip lining cars, how is there traffic? There's zip lines.
Yeah, so this is where I went wrong a little bit here. I was so excited about my crazy city that I almost made the cars fly just because it's a cool city. And then I was like, no, wait, I almost went there. But then, so the city's very cool, but it's still all magnets. Like they can't fly because otherwise my plot doesn't work anymore. Because I forgot they can't fly yet. So it maybe shouldn't have been that cool of a city. But,
honestly, great handling of the prompt. I really appreciate that.
It worked out, nice. I guess. Yeah,
I see the vision.
I'm glad we ended with healthy working conditions again.
Someone call Pixar, someone call Christopher Nolan. Let's get this thing done.
Yeah, Cars. Here you go. Cars 3 or whatever. No, there's probably 3. 4?
Is the 3.
How many are there? I don't know.
4 would be good.
I've never
There's 3.
seen Cars properly. Anyway, end of prompt. That's it. That's all I got.
Woo. Okay. Let's dive into our last one. Then.
Yeah.
Last one for the day.
Ooh. Okay. There were a lot of good ones in this batch, I think. So I was stuck between 2 of them that have very different energy. But I think I'm just curious about the dorkiness of this one. So it's got to be this one, I think. Are you ready for the last prompt?
I am ready. I sure am.
Okay. Okay, here you go. This is by Thumper8684. Thank you so much, Thumper. I almost thought you had a bunny in your... Well, is it a bunny? In your profile picture, but it also looks just like a piece of bread. Which I also applaud.
If you click on the profile, there is a bunny.
Is it a bunny? Oh, okay.
It is.
I was trying to figure it out. Which is a thing you maybe shouldn't do if you're reading the prompt. Okay. Anyway, Thumper, thank you so much for this prompt. And it goes as follows. A badger reads the Bible backwards.
I saw this one. And it's so unhinged.
It's so unhinged. It's so dorky. I don't know what to do with this.
Okay.
Which is why I gave it to you. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, let's
you'll be great. You'll be great.
I'm not going to dwell too long on this because I do feel like this episode is going a little bit long.
Yeah, that's actually true. Yes.
But I will tap into, I do know a lot about the Bible. So we're going to let's look at this. I want the badger to be able to read. I want the badger to know how to read.
Yes.
But like not well enough to understand. Like they get glimpses and ideas and like motifs.
Oh, right. Okay.
And like they kind of just extrapolate the full picture. This is going to be kind of a montage-esque energy. We zoom in on this badger just on the edge of the forest. He's just picking up the food scraps from a Bible camp that just recently like has dismissed themselves for the summer. You know, they had this great powwow, wonderful bonfire. Everybody's got their s'mores and their marshmallows. And as they leave for the rest of the weekend, the camp is abandoned and this badger just kind of steps onto the scene. And he does get a couple of snacks. He gets those graham crackers, those wonderful Hershey bars. He can find a couple of them for himself. But he does find, left behind on one of the logs, a pretty fresh-looking tome. We call it a tome because by badger size, all books are big.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, right. Good call.
He opens it as you would read any proper manga right to left. And And as he opens the back page, in this world, some animals are just smart enough to read, and that's just a fact, and we're going to run with it.
Yep.
The badger's almost there. He's almost there.
Yeah. I'm following. I'm keeping up.
And he opens up to the very end of the Bible, the book of Revelations, of prophecy, of how the world will end, how the great Justicar of God will vanquish all evil and welcome the entire world into this wonderful paradise. What a wild place to start, certainly. But the badger becomes enlightened, realizes their new purpose as a paladin of God to share the truth to share the truth of what will happen to this world. His woodland friends have no idea this is going to happen. And he's reading this book from the very start. What a strong premise for the start of a book, the end of the world, you know? And he continues to read backwards. And this is strange and bizarre and frankly enlightening reverse chronological story of the redemption of man, of the reckoning of sin and the forgiveness and reconciliation of it. It's very strange, the order of it. It's almost very avant-garde to tell a story backwards. It's very Chronicles of Narnia-esque, honestly. This badger is very familiar with Narnia and all of it, all of its woodland representation, of course.
Yeah, he's read that from the wood library before.
Yeah, and we just very quickly begin to montage as this badger sets up his own camp. Just beside the Bible camp, he pulls a couple of refreshments from their fridge. He gathers a bunch of their
actual camp. That's so stupid.
A bunch of the summer toys that they have, like the baseball kits. He grabs all of them and just begins setting up with all of these props from the camp his own little thing. He sets up little houses made from the chairs that he finds. He uses like the baseball, like the home run plates. He kind of piles them on and makes like walls and fencing for this society.
So creative.
And the badger begins to set up this incredible camp, and he invites all his woodland creatures. And of course, a bunch of them are skeptical, but he begins to teach them, presumably the first lesson of this holy book, which is the end of the world. And they begin to reckon with the definitions and interpretations of the apocalypse.
Wow.
It's a strong open. Yeah. It's a hard pitch. It's a hard sell to start with Revelations, but he does it. And this badger just finds this incredibly devoted following. And, I'll say it, even if you read the Bible backwards, still a message of hope. Totally fine. Totally cool. It's just a hard sell right from the start.
Yep, sure.
And it's clearly meant to be a bit satirical, the whole situation as we follow. This is kind of a 13 episode series where we follow this badger.
Oh, okay. Wow.
As he reckons with like his inner turmoil. We delve into the backstory of the badger, like how he learned to read, his history with his very kind family who tried to teach him and all these things. And, it becomes this very important thing. Eventually, there becomes this counter cult that begins to teach the opposite of what he's teaching, tells him that he's wrong, that he's reading everything backwards, and he can't be wrong. He found the holy text himself. There's no way he could be proved wrong. So there becomes this pseudo woodland Crusades arc where these two factions within the woods begin to fight for space, begin to fight for survival.
Can I picture this, please, as like the human Bible camp and then tiny backwards Bible camp from the badger and then even tinier like actual properly Bible camp on the other side? Yeah, okay.
The human Bible camp is operating perfectly fine, but they're gone for 9 months of the year. They only come back during the summer.
Yes,
so within the span of fall, winter, and spring, it's the establishment of these two factions.
Fight for dominance.
Establishing the holy order of the cosmos.
Wow.
All within the backyard of your baseball field.
Yes. Wow.
And yeah, it truly becomes just this Vinland Saga-esque storyline. There's a story of like the meaning of life. They reconcile a bunch of the past history of this badger. And, what just seemed to be just a regular, dyslexic badger turns into this this opera-filled classic, an odyssey of history of this well-meaning animal.
I want that on a t-shirt. Regular.
And that's my pitch, and I'm sticking to it.
Amazing.
It's a hard sell.
Well done.
And we're running with it.
It's not a hard sell. I'm super here for it.
It's a passion project, underfunded, and picks up this fandom that exists for decades to come.
Yes.
Let it be known.
I agree. Can I ask one plot question?
Of course.
Mr. Badger Pitch. So what happens if they both read the middle part? Like, what if they end up at the same chapter? Because at some point, like, if you read backwards and you read forwards, it's got to come together, like, in one instance of the universe,
The center of the Bible is the Book of Psalms, which is a very big book. And it's basically just a bunch of really nice songs. So if they meet at the middle.
Oh, it's like the battle fight break. It's like the intermission and they just jam out a little bit.
Listen, if they start in the middle, there's a third faction that starts in the middle and it's just a musical. It's just.
Yes. Yes.
Truly nonviolent.
Yes.
They have their own stage and everything and it's wonderful.
Yeah.
It's just the spin-off
Maybe
is like
it's
the
just
Broadway.
the hippies they meet along, like the secret tunnel hippies they meet along the way and they just jam out and then they leave and then the crusade continues. Yeah.
Yeah, we can call it like the Psalm of Songbirds or something like that. It's wonderful.
Yes. Amazing.
Great.
Wow. Well done. Beautiful job.
All right.
So on.
With that, we've finished half of season 8. We have 5 more episodes to go until the end of season 8. We have talked about so many really cool topics this season. And of course, thank you again for all of your wonderful prompts. We will have more of these episodes to come. This is always, for me, the highlight of each season. As we continue forward, as you read prompts and begin to build these worlds that we all invented it just today, by the way. This is all improvised.
From our brains.
You can do the same thing. All you have that creative power within you to truly invent worlds of your own infinite imagination. But of course, as you do, as with every story, as with every world, there is one singular truth. And that is,
with every story, there's one singular truth.
You at home, you on the bus, or you just trying to find an hour of
car,
sleep.
Wherever you may be.
Waking up in the morning, 30 minutes late to recording. Too late.
Yeah.
As you're running out the door of your house, always remember that indeed, your rivers are wrong. Have a wonderful day. Goodbye.
Thank you for listening. Bye.
Thank you for listening to this episode of Your Rivers Are Wrong. If you have ideas for topics, prompts, or you just want to share your thoughts, please reach us at yourriversarewrong@gmail.com. That's yourriversarewrong@gmail.com. Also, a big thanks to Maarten Schellekens, who created the intro and outro music for our podcast. And most importantly, thank you for listening. We hope to see you at the next one. Bye.